Hello, everyone. My name is Victor Ramsey. I am a member of the board of directors of Shape America. I'm also on the recruitment and retention task force for Shape America. Today, our guest today that will be introduced to the series of podcasts for the Love of PE Week that is upcoming is a phenomenal physical educator and passionate advocate for movement. Uh, this guest is a national trainer for the Comprehensive School Physical Activity Program, or CPAP. It's a subsidiary of wellness programs of the Society of Health and Physical Educators. He's also a former successful student athlete, which throughout his high school and undergraduate years, learning in both football and on track and field. A former public school athletic league, or PSAL, from New York City, all city championship team. He's also the founding member of the Sheridan Academy for Young Leaders, or PS457, in the Bronx, New York. This school statistics reflects about 87% of his school student population living under the poverty line, and is located in one of the poorest congressional districts in our country. This young man also became a physical education instructor and worked as a member of the Staten Island, Manhattan and Staten Island implementation team within the New York City Department of Education Office of School Wellness Programs, where he supported and implemented and delivered pedagogical support to an array of teachers, primarily in District 6, also in Manhattan, something that he's proud of doing. He's also a national trainer for Physical Best, national trainer, and he's also a former member or current member of an advanced equity resource group, which is part of the Office of School Wellness Programs that deals with the topics on race and school to prison pipeline and equity and so on. He is also currently the section president of the Equity, Diversity, Inclusiveness of New York State Association for Health, Physical Education, Recreation, and Dance. And my friends, I can go on and go on about this young man and his appearances and on the TV and the news to promote physical activity and a whole array of other things that this young man is doing. He's also fundamentally he also believes that physical literacy is fundamentally a human rights for all children, and that this philosophy is the catalyst that is reflected in his personality and his family's life. So without any further ado, my esteemed colleague and friend, Mr. Ronny Rodriguez. Welcome, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for that very elaborate welcome. I feel very esteemed and honored to be on your podcast, Dr. Ramsey. You are truly amazing, a mentor to me, and I am, looking forward to this awesome conversation that we're going to have to further promote physical education.
Well, one of the things that you always do for me is you make me smart every time I connect with you and have conversations. So the feeling is mutual, my friend. This feeling is mutual. So I like to get right into some questions because I'm eager to hear what you have to share. And I know, given that you have like a sort of like a transition into a new role within the Department of Education, as in going back into the passion and the love of what you do. So I just want to ask you, after making this transition, how do you see your role collaborating and partnering with other school-based health professionals, anything around physical activity, which could include obviously adaptive physical education and other physical activity professionals, like maybe an after-school program or before-school program or something like that?
Yeah, totally. Transitioning from working in the central office, predominantly dealing with entire districts, principals, school buildings, and PE teachers, now dealing with the children directly and going back on the ground level, which I love to be at. And my role and connections have not changed. So with that transition, now I come equipped with a know-how of how the department works from top to bottom and across, which allows me to do my job as a physical educator to a greater degree. I constantly collaborate with the APE teacher at the school, the physical therapist we have one as well, the occupational therapist, I'm part of a team that trains our paraprofessionals in dealing with things such as IAPs and how to implement movement-based strategies and interventions to ensure that children are feeling affirmed and welcomed and are ready to learn. So on every level of the school environment, from after school to before school and academically, as well as regarding to our academic subject of physical education and health as well. I'm involved across the line with various at various levels. I'm still working with organizations such as New York Roadrunners and their Rising New York Roadrunners program. Our whole school is enrolled in that. I'm still very much involved with our former office, Dr. Ramsey, and I'm working and collaborating to ensure that I attend and keeping myself abreast as to what's happening in the city and with physical education as a whole. So coming back to a school has allowed me the opportunity, again, after being in the former role that I was in, to really implement some of the things that at some point to some people may have seemed to be theoretical, but now bringing that into practice in an actual school with children, with all the obstacles and constraints that come with that. But I welcome the challenge, and I, love physical education and love being in front of children again. So it's
Wow.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah. I know our listening audience is tuned in and listening keenly to those great advice and all the work that you're doing. So I just want to segue into the next question. Based on that experience that you have from your perspective, what do teacher training professionals in higher ed, for example, need to know about who is or how should future professionals be trained and prepared for the future? Are there any areas that you think that could have been enhanced, that could be enhanced?
Definitely. I feel that in most cases, from my direct experience attending um, a well-renowned, I went to SUNY Cortland, so it was well-renowned for physical education, top in the world and definitely in the United States for physical education. Think the program is great in terms of understanding physical education content and for what it is, how to be a professional. But one of the things that I will say, and in speaking with students who also went to and other professionals who went to other institutions across the city, across the state, across the United States, one thing that is lacking is working in urban settings. Working, and as we know, the trend is that most human beings across the world are going to live in an urban setting. That seems to be the trend in terms of human migration. So from that perspective, it's imperative that at higher ed, we're training our future professionals in equity, diversity, inclusiveness. The world demographically, especially in the United States, as reported by UCLA and other demographic markers, the US is becoming increasingly more diverse. So more and more, no matter where, whether you're in a rural, urban, or suburban setting, the children coming in front of you are coming from all over the world, all over the city with different experiences. To that end, I think it's imperative that at the higher ed, there is a higher degree of focus on how to deal with a diverse group of students and diversity across all things, diversity in race, diversity in socioeconomic status, the right diversity in religious background, diversity in ability. Are they able-bodied, not able-bodied? Diversity in gender, diversity in the new ways and the spectrum that is gender, and that you understand the ever-changing world that's in front of us. It just even in my own experience, when I started teaching in 2009, my first 6 years at Sheridan Academy, and I left for 7 years, it's an entirely different teaching environment now than it was 7 years ago. And I'm still in my same career. So I imagine as future professionals keep coming into the profession, they're going to see a more rapidly changing societal landscape. So it's imperative that we train future professionals in how to deal with diverse group of human beings. And that starts in essentially, it's more of a ask of the heart than of the intellectual capacity. in my opinion.
Wow. Yes, that is awesome, man. And you answered that other question that was boiling up about that equity, diversity, inclusiveness that was coming in. So you nailed it, and I appreciate you covering that, because I think it's important, it's imperative that we certainly prepare our future professionals with these opportunities to meet a diverse group of students and with different backgrounds and so on. Absolutely. So do you think that give me an example of some ways that school-based health and physical education curricula need to perhaps evolve a bit to meet, or evolve in a way to best meet the needs of the learners, and more specifically the geographical and the culturally relevant content. Could you give us a piece of that from that angle?
Yes, definitely. In my opinion here, I would say physical literacy, as it is conceived and conceptualized from Margaret Whitehead, International Physical Literacy Association. They went deeper into it. If you go into the philosophical underpinnings and you really internalize terminology, um, monism, existentialism, and what that truly means from the human condition, this sets you up into a position from which you view each human being as a unique individual with a unique life goal and purpose, movement capacity, potential, interests. And now your planning becomes more responsive to the student and the human being in front of you, as opposed to you imposing your views, your intentionality upon them. Because even within the concept of what is the goal of physical education, to develop physically literate human beings who love and can engage in physical activity for the rest of their life. A paraphrase of how Shape America conceptualizes. If you truly internalize that, you're going to help each individual student to find what it is that they like. How that looks like in curricula is making it flexible enough to where you are still addressing the standards, you are still providing standard-based, scientifically backed instruction, but you're allowing students to engage and have autonomy over how they go about that. No easy task, but it can be done through careful analysis of the culture and backgrounds, interests of the children in front of you, the space that you have available to you, the equipment that you have available to you, the amount of support that you may have. So there's many variables that go into that. But again, these are the things that when writing curriculum, when providing support to teachers and to the profession, we have to take into account that in many cases, many environments are very dynamic, and you have to be a dynamic human being to be able to navigate that and lead each human being on their own journey. So they have meaningful movement experiences when they're in your classroom. And if you're able to create those meaningful movement experiences, research shows that human being will be more likely to engage in physical activity for the rest of their life. And that's ultimately what we want for every human being that comes in front of us and that we're
Sure.
able to influence.
Wow. Yes, absolutely. Indeed. Thank you. That's some good that is some good advice that you're sharing with our audience, with our listening audience. So, in closing, I want to ask a twofold question, and it has to do primarily with your based on your professional background and your experience, and hypothetically, you're speaking before a group of high ed professionals. What? Let me ask you a twofold question. What advice would you give them in establishing some solid partnership with higher ed institutions, and the outreach to recruit and retain future professionals in the field? And at the same time, do you think that there be some challenges in the health or health education and teacher health education and physical education, teacher education programs, with anticipation of any type of challenges with recruiting? So, of course, the first question is on what advice would you give them to retain, to recruit, and giving some of the challenges, and then the second one is on the challenges that they might anticipate.
Um, Tough, and because there's many factors that lead to why a teacher remains in the profession and doesn't remain in the profession. It is difficult from many perspectives, but I think one of the main things is to ensure that teachers feel that they have a sense of purpose, that what they're doing is meaningful and adding to society. How you go about getting a human being to understand that is grouping them with other human beings that are on that same mission. So it's very important that higher ed connect students with professional organizations such as AFERG, such as Shape America, and others that are out there, that you cultivate that professional network as early as possible so that you retain, because a lot of the times with all the societal expectations, monetary expenses of living life, the teacher, ensuring that you're guiding your future professionals towards areas and like places like New York City, where there are many openings, where there are opportunities for growth, competitive salaries, training and support for physical education and health education, and steering more of our professionals towards areas like this where there is job opportunities and growth for them immediately. Where, because I know in certain areas it's not like that, and teachers
Right.
are forced to wait for a long time. So creating those networks and helping the professionals to see a direct trajectory to placement, job growth, opportunity, support. I think those are things that will help an individual who's just finishing college to remain in this profession and grow.
Right.
That support is very pivotal. Yeah.
Awesome. So I want to ask you, do you think that and give me that response, give me this response in one or two sentences. Do you think your experiences would have been different if you would have attended an HBCU?
100%.
Wow, why is
100% would
that?
have been differently. Because I feel that I felt very alienated in the school that I was, just point blank and period. There were many classes where I was the only person of color, period. Everyone else was part of the majority culture. And those feelings can be very alienating. Even I played on the football team, ran on the track team, even there, because it's a small school, small town, and it is predominantly white. Going to an HBCU, which now would have been around other people of color, I think I would have felt a lot more comfortable to be myself and to express a lot of the ideas that I wanted to express without alarming folks. Like I really
Right.
got into Black literature in high school, but a lot of that I kept a little hidden in certain spaces just to not make other people feel uncomfortable. Because again, you do have to navigate certain spaces strategically when
Right.
you are a person of color. And that's something that we, um, instinctually and intuitively for our own survival
Right.
truly understand. But yeah, it would have been a totally different experience. But I'm glad for the experience that I had. It was meaningful to me. It helped me to get to the point that I am now, and I'm thankful for those experiences. But
Right.
I definitely know it would have been different. Because
Right.
just to reacclimate back to New York City after being away, because first I was in Buffalo for a few years, then Cortland. So two cities that are, um, predominantly white, as opposed to New York City, which is quite diverse. I had to reacclimate back to the culture, back to the way, the tones, how certain people speak. And I was, to be honest, like after internalizing some of the things that I had to in order to fit in, I came back and had to, like, again, reacclimate. And
Right.
I'll save the rest of those details for a later time. But yeah, I think it would have definitely
Right.
been different. But
Wow. Well,
thank
let me
you.
say, man, we're grateful to have you in New York City. We're grateful to have you as an extension of those of us who are in the trenches and trying to make this for the future professionals and for the students that we service. So we're grateful for that, and thank you for all that you do and continue the trajectory that you're going. And I'm sure any any school district in this country and abroad will benefit from having someone like you. And I'm very grateful to be part of your circle of friends. And thank you for your time and sharing for the love of Health and PE Week. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Have a wonderful day, my friend. Take
Thank you,
care.
brother. I appreciate you so much.